Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking a really deep, focused dive into the source material surrounding a case that has, well, let's be honest, it's completely polarized the nation. We're talking about the Mackenzie Shirilla case. We're going to break down the timeline, the evidence, and a highly debated medical defense, strictly using the facts and the records we actually have at hand. We've got a lot of fascinating material to get through, so let's just jump right into it.
So here's the central mystery we really need to unpack today. It's the question that's captured national attention and sparked just endless debates online. Could a hidden medical condition actually cause someone to unintentionally drive a vehicle into a solid brick wall at extreme speeds? Or are we looking at something much darker? We're going to look at exactly what the medical and legal records tell us. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our investigative docket for today. First, the tragic 100-mile-per-hour crash. Second, exploring the POTS defense. Third, a trail of text messages. Fourth, the medical and forensic evidence. And finally, the expert's verdict. Section 1. The tragic 100-mile-per-hour crash. Let's establish the stark facts of the July 31, 2022 incident. 100. That's 100 miles per hour. On that July morning, Mackenzie Shirilla drove her vehicle between 90 and 100 miles per hour directly into a brick wall. The impact was absolutely catastrophic, resulting in the tragic loss of her two passengers, her boyfriend, Dominic Russo, and his friend, Davion Flanagan. Now, during the 2023 bench trial, the prosecution argued that this wasn't just some horrible accident. They asserted that Shirilla executed a purposeful mission of death, literally choosing to push the pedal to the floor to hit that ultimate speed. And, well, the judge agreed. Shirilla was found guilty on multiple charges, including 4 counts of murder, and was sentenced to life in prison, with parole eligibility beginning in 2037. Which brings us to Section 2, exploring the POTS defense. Was this actually a medical emergency? So, ever since the crash, Shirilla's official claim has been that she has absolutely no recollection of that morning. She insists she completely blacked out. Her defense really hinges on POTS. That stands for Postural Orthostatic Tachycardia syndrome. It's a real medical condition that affects blood flow, often causing an unusually elevated heart rate, low blood pressure, and sometimes dizziness or fainting. During the appeals process, Shirilla's mother, Natalie, testified that Mackenzie was actually diagnosed with POTS at the Cleveland Clinic back in 2017. She noted that doctors gave Mackenzie salt tabs to treat the condition and told her to eat salty foods whenever she felt woozy. In a recent documentary, Shirilla actually doubled down on this. She stated, quote, "The most logical speculation seems to be a medical emergency." She maintains that the crash wasn't intentional because that's just not in her character. But, and this is a really crucial fact you need to take away from this explainer, despite this being the primary public defense, absolutely no official medical expert took the stand for her defense during the actual trial to testify about POTS. None. Now, what's really interesting is Section 3, a trail of text messages. Let's analyze the digital footprint. We can actually test these medical claims by comparing her mother's claim of a 2017 diagnosis against Mackenzie's own text logs with Dominic Russo. If we map out the years leading right up to the crash using court records, we see all these vague, chronic complaints. In February 2020, she texts, "I straight passed out." In 2021, she's talking about constant stomach and back pain. By July 2022, just weeks before the crash, she describes the worst blackout-like pain. But look closely at this. Throughout all these detailed texts about her health over the years, the specific term POTS is completely absent. This really gets to the heart of the tension in this case. In April 2021, Mackenzie texts, and you can hear the frustration, complaining that doctors just don't believe her pain, and that tests keep telling her it's nothing, right? There is a massive gap here between her mother's claim that she had a firm, official POTS diagnosis from the Cleveland Clinic in 2017, and Mackenzie's own text messages years later expressing profound frustration that medical professionals couldn't find anything wrong with her. Even Dominic was kind of trying to play doctor. Just weeks before the crash, on July 2nd, he rapid fires a text to her saying, "Main causes of blackouts is blood flow. Let's try getting you vitamins that support that." They were actively, deeply discussing her blackouts and blood flow issues, yet neither of them ever invokes a known pre-existing POTS diagnosis to explain it. She even replies asking if she's just vitamin deficient. Let's move on and see how this builds in Section 4, medical and forensic evidence, specifically the post-crash evaluations. So what actually happens to a body during a POTS episode? And more importantly, does it match Mackenzie's physical state right after the crash? Dr. Esther Sang, a trauma surgeon, evaluated Shirilla roughly 2 hours post-crash. Notice the specific results here. Her airway was intact, her breathing and circulation were perfectly normal, and an ECG showed the electrical function of her heart was totally normal. The only glaring anomaly was a blood oxygen level of 82, which, is abnormally low. While a defense attorney might argue a mini-stroke or a POTS episode could resolve within 2 hours, the immediate medical snapshot mostly showed normal cardiovascular function.
Now, let's play devil's advocate for a second and look at the sheer mechanical reality of the vehicle. According to forensic evidence, the car's data recorder showed 3 very specific things. Her foot was held continuously on the accelerator, absolutely no braking was applied at any point, and the manual gear shift was moved from neutral to drive in the seconds right before the crash. The appellate court asked a very blunt question about this. Could a medical condition actually cause someone to simultaneously execute these exact, intentional, coordinated steps while supposedly blacked out?
That brings us to Section 5, the expert's verdict. Let's dig into Dr. Daniel Bober's analysis.
To make sense of the medical claims versus the physical reality, we turn to forensic psychiatrist Dr. Daniel Bober. He actually has experience treating patients with POTS, so he serves as a great medical anchor for us. He points out a really crucial disconnect. Dr. Bober emphasizes that POTS primarily affects people when they are standing up. In fact, true passing out from POTS is somewhat uncommon, and it is highly, highly improbable when someone is recumbent or sitting down, like when you're driving a car. Furthermore, if you are truly blacked out from a syncope episode, you lose motor control. You don't perform purposeful motor movements like steering, manually shifting gears, and continuously accelerating a vehicle. But you're probably wondering, what about all those text messages? The ones describing that severe, untreatable pain? Well, Dr. Bober introduces this fascinating concept called somatization. That's the physical expression of psychological distress. He notes that POTS frequently co-occurs with depression, anxiety, and somatization syndrome, especially in young females. His theory is that her texts about constant, untreatable back and stomach pain were likely indicators of deep psychological distress, rather than active POTS symptoms that somehow caused a crash. So where does this leave us? Currently, a procedural appeal is underway, and a huge question being raised is ineffective assistance of counsel. Basically, if POTS was truly the cause of this tragedy, shouldn't her lawyers have called a medical expert to present those 2017 Cleveland Clinic records to the judge? Dr. Buber finds the lack of an expert at trial incredibly curious, suggesting that at this appeal stage, the defense might just be throwing anything at the wall to see what sticks. We're going to end on this thought. Dr. Bober actually brought up the Supreme Court case Roper v. Simmons, which legally recognized the relative immaturity of youth. He points out a really interesting generational divide here. So much of the public outrage surrounding this case stemmed from Shirilla's seemingly callous behavior on social media after the crash. But it makes you wonder, is a 17-year-old social media behavior indicative of a cold, calculated lack of remorse? Or is it just the tragic immaturity of a generation that lives their entire lives online? It's a provocative question that forces us to look past our initial outrage. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this structured look at the evidence give you a much clearer understanding of this incredibly complex case.